Welcome back, everybody, to Backstage Live. I'm here with Amy Palmer from In Touch magazine.
Yeah.
And we're going to be keeping up with our theme of the day, which is hot.
Hot, and it's hot here in New York, let me tell you.
And it's even hot a little bit here in the studio. We're talking about how we're schwitzing early. We're doing a little bit of a workout. It was a little hot. But we're talking with Amy about the hottest celebrities.
Hottest celebrities right now. Well, first of all, let's start with the guys.
Because we're going to do the top three, right?
Yeah, top three.
So who came in at number 3?
Okay, Bradley Cooper.
We love Bradley Cooper. He's fresh off so much success.
He's so hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have to say, my boyfriend gets mad at me because every time he's on screen, I'm like, he's the hottest man I've ever seen. Sorry, babe.
Gets a little jealous.
He does. He gets mad. But Bradley Cooper is, you saw The Hangover, right?
Yep. Saw The Hangover.
Okay, and I'm sure everyone out there has seen it as well. When he got on screen, it was like movie star.
Yeah.
He had the white teeth, the tan, the hair.
He's buff.
And you just
what he's done, but he's gotten bigger over the last couple of years.
So hot. And he screamed movie star, charisma overload. And that movie really kind of brought him over the edge. Because remember, he was in Wedding Crashers. But we hated him in Wedding Crashers, right? Because he was mean.
Something happened to him with The Hangover that basically, you're right, there's a moment where he goes on screen where people go, how did I not see that in you before, right?
Like, how did I not notice the hotness?
Yes.
And I think
a lot of people, a lot of women specifically, really like he bounced off to the top of their list at that moment, right?
And I think it's the hair.
Yeah.
I think it's like that very wingy out, almost 70s look that kind of did it for a lot of us.
And we should mention, because not a lot of people know this, but I just watched an episode of, there was a rerun of Sex and the City on TBS or something. I flipped the channel. There he was. One of his first credits.
Yep. It was one of his first credits. He was on one episode, season 2 of Sex and the City.
Right.
I mean, little did they know that they had
a big star on their hands.
That's right.
And he plays the guy where Sarah Jessica Parker, that episode where she's on the cover and she's smoking on the cover and she's embarrassed by the 30 fabulous question mark, right? And then he's the guy who takes her home and she dumps him.
Yeah, and I think what it shows is that success is not overnight. A lot of times we see these stars and we think, wow, we just became so famous. People don't understand the auditions that these actors have been through, living on no money, eating noodles in their studio apartment.
For years.
And not for a month, guys, for years. A lot of times with reality shows, you kind of get a skewed version of fame because in American Idol, Lee DeWise, he just came on the scene. He was a painter. He worked in a hardware store, and all of a sudden he's famous in 6 weeks.
And this is a whole other story. We should also mention he's married to Renee Zellweger.
Well, he's dating Renee Zellweger. It's a very low-key couple. Right. We don't really know if he's going to get married or not, but there are some rumors that she was looking at Carolina Herrera wedding dresses in LA last week. So this could happen.
Maybe wedding bells in the future.
Big Hollywood power couple right there.
That would be a huge wedding. It'd be on every single cover.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about who came in at number 2.
Number 2 is Leonardo DiCaprio. And
shocker.
Okay. And, it's kind of why is he so hot right now? Well, he has a new movie coming out called Inception.
We're already seeing the previews everywhere.
Right. It's going to be a huge sci-fi movie this summer. It's going to be gigantic blockbuster numbers. And the thing about Leo that I love is he's an actor. Yeah. So when you watch him, you forget it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
He's that good.
And I think that's why he's in the category of a Meryl Streep, and it's so rare in today's Hollywood world because, as you know, you can look at so-and-so playing something and you're like, oh, they're just playing themselves.
Yeah.
Leo is not like that. So
and we should mention, especially being a kid star, he really transcended that whole, he started as a kid, but in his defense, also, Leo started doing movies with Meryl Streep when he was a kid. So it's not like he was doing,
But still, I think that the pressures of Hollywood can get to so many people. Look at Lindsay Lohan as a horrible example of what can happen when it goes wrong.
Also did a movie with Meryl Streep, but couldn't hold it together.
Exactly. Yeah. So Leonardo DiCaprio is an excellent person to look at in Hollywood as an example of how to do it right.
He's doing a biopic now.
He might be doing a biopic as starring as Frank Sinatra. And Martin Scorsese's directing it, so I think that
he's done a lot of Martin Scorsese films.
And I think actually Leo as Frank Sinatra would work. Yeah. And I think you would forget again that it was Leo.
I'd be curious to see how that's gonna turn out, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Let's go into number 1. Who came in? If we had a drum roll, this would be the point where we do the drum roll.
Who do you think would be number 1 right now?
Let's think. I'm thinking
Twilight is a hint. Vampire, another hint.
I think you just gave it away. But the question would be who out of the two, because there's been it's a lot of rivalry between the two of them. I'm guessing no one expected it to be this close, right?
This close. Well, I first of all, we love Taylor Lautner. Okay. We love him. We think he's fabulous, but we did pick Robert Pattinson. Right. And we did that for a lot of reasons. One, he's getting paid $40 million for Breaking Dawn.
Which is the fourth one. That's the next one coming out.
Right. And again, he's someone who struggled in Hollywood. He actually almost gave up acting right before he got the role up in Twilight. So think about that.
And you like those stories about them. Those stories definitely go into the whole process because, if you got it overnight, it's not as...
It's true. And it's sort of like, don't quit, follow your dreams. And I think that people really relate to that. But he's $40 million payday. He's dating Kristen Stewart, who plays Bella Swan on Twilight.
And we should say he came in, higher than... We should say he eclipsed. Did you get that? Stick with me, kiddos. He eclipsed some of the major stars like P. Diddy and even Sarah Jessica Parker
on the Forbes Celebrity Power List.
That's
it really is. But you have to understand he's part of one of the most profitable franchises in Hollywood. And the reason why it's so profitable is Twilight was made, the first one, for $30 million. Okay. And I think if you watch it back now, you kind of realize that it was, but you love it because it's campy.
Yeah.
And then it grossed almost $400 million worldwide. And then the second one was made for $60 million and it grossed almost $800 million. So the profit margins on these movies, could you imagine the investment return for Summit?
Can we stop for a second and mention the fact that $30 million is considered a low-budget film these days? I mean, how did that happen?
Warped we are, but it's
it was only made for 30, one of those indie films. $30 million, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but in Hollywood standards,
it's nothing.
Where you're spending $100 million or James Cameron budget, which is like $1 billion at this point, what does it mean? So
Robert Pattinson totally takes the number one spot.
And he's also doing a film with Reese Witherspoon, so you see that he's
take him out of that whole Twilight, Twihard sort of category, right?
But I will tell you that I really do think that Robert Pattinson is this generation's Jake Ryan. And
we should say Jake Ryan, 16 Candles, right. For all of you kids out there who have no idea what she's talking about, those puckered lips and 16 Candles, which got kids swooning,
naming I have a lot of friends who name their son Jake.
Little trivia. Where's Jake right now?
I know he's a furniture maker in Pennsylvania.
Oh my God, that is awesome. I didn't think you were going to know.
Of course I know where he is.
Well, I actually pitched that story once. I'm like, let's do where is he gone to? And I Googled, I made us a few phone calls. I actually spoke to his manager who literally went like this. Stop calling him. Click. Yeah, he does not want anything.
No part. And I think he actually has women who come into his furniture store and who are just dying over the fact that Jake Ryan is first of all, Jake Ryan woodworking. Could you imagine? I mean, hello?
It almost intensifies that fantasy for some women, I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, now you have an axe? I don't know. Sorry.
You're like a handyman? You can fix furniture?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He's probably around 45. Maybe
Are there any pictures? Do people know what he looks like? Or
there are not that many pictures of him out there. He's super low key and wants nothing to do with Hollywood. And that's what I think Robert Pattinson has to do is take that leap into the A-list with Reese Witherspoon. So, and also I want to mention that
she's a good person to take that leap with. Everyone who's been with her has taken that leap.
And I want to say that Robert Pattinson is known as a nice guy in Hollywood. He's a great reputation. Is very important. And I'm telling you, a lot of people think to be in this business you have to be cutthroat and mean. I'm telling you guys, that's not the way to be.
Yeah.
Nice really does.
Who's one of the nicest guys I find is George Clooney, believe it or not.
Bigger the star, the nicer, I'm telling you. Yeah.
I was at the Oscars a couple of years ago at the red carpet. And, we're CBS, so obviously we weren't E! Entertainment or, the big places where they actually get the really big spots.
Yeah,
we had to share.
Huge.
It's huge. But you'd think we'd be big enough for someone to stop by. All the Miley Cyruses of the world just walked on by. Who had been famous for about 5 minutes at that point. And George Clooney literally stopped and talked to every single person. And his people know not to, because a lot of the times they'll talk to a star and within 2 seconds, the PR person will be grabbing your hand off camera to let you know that's the last question. And they get very aggressive if you ask more questions than you should. not with George. Like his person knows not to bother him. He will stay with you until you're done. Okay, let's go to the women. Class act. And people know that about him. The story is he's one of the nicest people. Let's talk about the women. Number 3 for women. Who came in at number 3?
Scarlett Johansson. I mean, what can I say about her is, one, she's gorgeous. Yeah. 2, she's been named like the hottest body all over the world multiple times. And I love it.
And the lips too. A lot of people talking about the lips.
The lips. I mean, she's curves. Yay. She's not like a stick figure, which is something that we don't want to be promoting to young girls. She's a triple threat. She just won a Tony Award. Right. She
was in a View from the Bridge, which she was amazing. And I actually saw that. She was wonderful.
Okay. So she won a Tony. She recorded an album with Pete Yorn. And I actually downloaded it. I have it on my iPod. I love it. She has a beautiful voice. And she's been acting since she was 10.
And she's married to Ryan Reynolds. One of the biggest stars now in Hollywood. I mean, talk about a perfect life.
She looks like she has a perfect life. But as we know, nothing's perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
So what we love her. We think she's
didn't make it to the top of the list. She only made it to number 3.
She's only number 3.
I bet she's pissed about that.
And let me mention, she's in her mid-20s. I mean, could you imagine doing all that?
She just started out.
But
it seems like she's been out there forever since Lost in Translation really made her an international superstar.
Huge. But again, she started when she was 10 years old. She's been in movies with Robert Redford. She's paid
People don't know that about
her. People don't know that. So,
well, when you say paid her dues, I mean,
there are people.
Yeah, I guess she's been doing it for like
15 years.
Right. Yeah.
So if you start when you're 18 and you have 15 years, then you're 33 maybe when you've paid your dues. But because she started almost out of the womb.
Right.
Here she is at 25 and she has the world at her feet.
Yes.
Not that I'm saying don't go to school.
Right.
Education.
Don't drop out of school to become an actress in Hollywood because it may not happen for you and you may need that education.
The smarter the better.
Let's go to number 2.
Kristen Stewart. Bella Swan from Twilight. She's also getting paid $40 million. So her and Robert Pattinson are going to be, I don't know, getting a yacht soon.
What are they going to do with all that money? How old are they? How old is she?
She's 20.
Wow.
So think about that.
And we should also mention she made $12 million last year.
That's right.
It's not like she's
and that's going to be peanuts to her after Breaking Dawn because they're also getting the back end deal where they get a percentage of the box office.
That's where you make the big money.
And I mean, as many Hollywood stars know, like Tom Cruise, he often does that. He gets a lower paycheck, and then at the end, he's making hundreds of millions of dollars. So these kids are really going to be set up. The thing I like about Kristen
Stewart, their great-grandchildren will be really set up, I think.
Great. As long as they're smart and they put their money in the right place. Right. But the thing I like about Kristen Stewart, though, is she's the anti-celebrity. Right. She doesn't want to be on the cover of magazines. It's all about the work for her. And I think that a lot of people really like that. Again, but she's developing into a woman. So if you think about it, when you were 20 years old, could you imagine having that amount of fame?
I could not, because I didn't. But let me ask you this. She also is doing like these smaller type independent movies. She's being smart about her roles. She knows that being typecast as Bella Swan is going to be very hard to break. She's already done another movie with Dakota Fanning because Dakota's in that. Yeah, and she's gotten very good reviews.
Amazing reviews. She played Joan Jett, and they said that she really carried the movie. She also has a movie coming out with James Gandolfini where she actually plays a stripper. But
she's doing what actually she needs to be doing, is really doing all those roles that will break her from that Bella Swan, because it's a very hard character to sort of shake off.
We don't want the Jake Ryan curse for them. So I think they're doing the right things, and they've learned from the past with, a lot of stars of the 80s who can't get out of that.
What about all the talk about Kristen Stewart being a little too pretty for the role of Bella Swan? Bella Swan is supposed to be a little, she's not supposed to be the prettiest girl in school, yet Kristen Stewart is a gorgeous girl.
She's very pretty, but I do think the casting was right with that. They didn't pick like a blonde bombshell, which then I would have thought was ridiculous. But I think that she's relatable. I think she's accessible. I mean, I feel like I could see her as one of like my interns or someone, I feel like I would know that girl. So she's not inaccessible. At least that's what I think. Okay. And for people who think she's too pretty, well, I don't know. Maybe you should stop seeing the movies and just keep reading the Twilight
The role
books.
is Bella Swan.
Yes, I know, right? Let that be the biggest criticism you ever get, folks. You're too pretty for something. Yeah. I want that problem. Let's talk about number 1, because I think that's almost like put that in the duh file, right?
Oh, it is. It's in the duh file, and it's also like I don't even know if she should be on any list. She should just be a list of her own.
Can anyone guess at home who the number 1 is? Let's see.
Let's see if they can.
We should talk about her a little bit before we actually say the name.
Okay,
See if
well,
we give them a little chance. So let me give them a little clue, but don't go with the obvious clue.
Okay.
How about a clue that maybe people wouldn't know?
She does a lot of her own stunts in her movies.
Yes. That should give you a little bit of a clue. She's badass.
She's totally badass.
But she's also very gorgeous and can play the very delicate roles.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's
She's very good at changeling. Did you say that? Did you see that? That was
No One's Biting.
No One's Biting.
Yeah.
She's good at changeling into different roles. That was another tip. If you haven't gotten that one yet.
She likes to travel.
Yes, she
There you
does.
go.
She's into cemeteries.
Well, she used to be into cemeteries and kind of the dark side of life, but since recently she's changed her
Yes,
tune.
she's gone from goth to classy in many, many times in her life.
Yeah.
But still, she's mysterious.
Yes.
And that's why
She's
we'll get
dated
enough.
some very interesting types, if interesting is a good word, and some really, really like the most sought after types.
All right,
Yes.
just come out and say it.
All right.
Okay.
So Angelina Jolie. Okay. Angelina Jolie is the most beautiful woman in the world,
Yes.
according to many, many polls.
Bar
around the
none.
world.
I think
Yeah.
men and women will say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And she's just
She's flawless.
She's flawless. And she's also constantly busy.
Yeah.
She's
Well, she has 17 kids. How could you not be?
6 kids.
Yeah.
She's a goodwill ambassador. She's traveling the world. She goes to war-torn countries. She's really she's just the proponent for people around the world who were just in need.
And all that without a wrinkle.
She doesn't have a wrinkle. She weighs like 105 pounds, but
Soaking wet.
Soaking wet. She is partners with Brad Pitt, and her new movie Salt comes out
Yes,
July
which is gonna be
23rd.
Huge, according to all
Huge.
predictions.
And if you see the trailer, you're just
you want to see the movie.
immediately
Yeah,
drawn
like, it's
into
one of
it.
those things where like, yeah, I'm definitely going to see that.
Yeah, she's awesome. So we're excited about that. It's going to be a big box office hit.
How is the list this year compared to last year?
Well, I think that the Twilight phenomenon has really kind of changed everything. I think it's given Hollywood kind of a run for their money. The thing that I find is interesting, just a little off topic, is that because the profit margins are so big on Twilight, Hollywood wants to use that model now. So you're going to see a lot of films that are less to make that will have more of a box office draw.
And that's basically what Twilight is. I mean, if you look at the movie itself, it's not that you don't see the kind of like effects that you see in other films. Although they do have some pretty impressive effects lately.
Now they do, because I think their budget was raised to about $68 million, which is huge considering it was $30 million the first one.
Double.
But I think that's it. And it's in terms of the list, it's always changing. Hollywood, it's always who's in, who's out. But the thing that I like also is Angelina Jolie. You have with Leonardo DiCaprio. Those are real movie stars. We wanted to
you have the big traditional classic sort of movie stars, and then you have the newer ones that are up and coming. We should say not really, but yes,
yes.
Let's invite Amy to take our poll.
Okay, so we're doing this poll. It's Backstage Live, so our polls are a little different than the polls that you see like on other places. Our poll for the day is, the whole Mel Gibson story. You'd be a good person to talk to about this.
Mm-hmm.
The Mel Gibson story. If you had to choose, who would you rather be? Mel Gibson's wife, Lindsay Lohan's lawyer, Naomi Campbell's maid, or Russell Crowe's hotel clerk?
Lindsay Lohan's lawyer.
Yeah.
Is that what a lot of people are saying?
Well,
what
actually, Russell Crowe was in the lead all morning, but now Lindsay Lohan's pulling ahead with 47% of the vote.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan's lawyer.
My guess was a lot of the reason why people picked Russell Crowe because they just get to be in the same hotel as him, and I think that's a lot of women viewers. That's just my guess. That wasn't the question, folks, though. There's a cell phone thrown at you involved in this equation. You have to remember that. But if you don't mind a cell phone in your face, then go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do the lawyer. It's because I can work with her, get out, and leave. Yeah. I don't have to really...
You don't have to, spend any time.
And I have to say, I think that she's going to be going through a lot of lawyers, so my time would be limited.
It would be a very quick gig.
It would be like 3 days. And then I'd be fine.
Amy, you have been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Yes, and please come back.
I would love to.
Yes.
Anytime.
Even when you're not on that show.
I will come here.
Stop by. Talk to us about Hollywood stars. We'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys. Bye.